I'm Kristen Bakke. I'm the president and CEO in service to Lead Brevard. And I'm delighted to welcome you all, our guests, our class members, our nonprofit partners, to the 2024 Full Cohort Evening of Impact. This is an opportunity for us to celebrate with our Leadership Brevard participants in this fall cohort all of the success that they have had over the last 6 months working with their nonprofit partners. I want you to know just what kind of impact we're talking about and why we do call this an evening of impact. It's more than the partnerships. These teams over the last 6 months have contributed 511 hours of volunteer time that we've recorded. There's probably time that has not been recorded, so it's likely to be more. But we're using 511 hours of senior leadership volunteer time. The independent sector calculates that value of a volunteer hour at $31.80. So that equates to an impact, financial economic impact of $16,249 just over the last 6 months with these groups and their teams. So I want to just celebrate that fact and say thank you for the impact that you have contributed to our community. We're going to see all of these presentations. They're going to be great. You're going to be so impressed, and I'm delighted that you're here. I want to welcome Shayla Marie Smith, who is the Lead Brevard chairman of the board, to offer her welcome and thanks to you all.
Good evening or afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Lead Brevard's Board of Directors, welcome and thank you to the CAP project teams and community organizations for the work that you've put into these projects. Impact truly happens when the community aligns and joins forces, and we are proud to be a conduit of that kind of work here at Lead Brevard. We're honored that you raised your hand to be a part of the solution, and each of you should truly pat yourselves on the back. To kick us off tonight, we're going to start with Brevard's Alzheimer's Foundation Community Acceleration Project, which team they worked on the Caregivers Lounge. The Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation's mission is to provide quality adult day health care in communities and facilities with compassion and integrity, with a focus on Alzheimer's and dementia-related diseases. I'd like to now invite Carrie from the team to share their presentation.
Sorry, trying to share my screen, and of course, it's not working the way I'm expecting it to work. As I've been here the whole time. Oh. Sorry, y'all. Is it showing the screen that says Brevard Alzheimer's or no?
It is. You're good to go.
Okay, Mary. Perfect. Thank you, Candace. Technical difficulties. All right.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation Caregivers Lounge CAP project for Joe's Club. Caring for your loved ones, caring for yourself. We are the Leadership Brevard class of 2024, the best class ever. I'm Carrie Ramage. I'm the current president of Space Coast Association of Realtors, and I am the broker at Remax Elite. And I am here with my team member,
Kayla Heisenbuttel, and I am the Resource Development Director for the Sharing Center of Central Brevard.
Our CAP team is made up of several members, all from varying backgrounds, which was great because it gave us the opportunity to give input from various industries within Brevard County. We had Bonnie Block, Business Development with Turner Construction Company, Jason Flex, Senior Vice President with PNC Bank, Alan Ross Fritter, Financial Advisor with Ameriprise Financial, Jeffrey Gallo, Partner with Brennan Fender LLP, and Lee McElroy, Area Manager, Prevention, Eckerd Connects. We were assigned the project of Joe's Club to design a caregiver's lounge where caregivers who are dropping off their family member at Joe's Club, if they needed an area to just stop and have respite, or if they got back to the club early, could sit and relax for a few moments while they're waiting for their family member to finish up their day at Joe's Club. We had the opportunity to view the lounge in the space. We have some photos attached, as you can see. Right now, it's just being used as a catch-all. We met with Russell Sell, the CEO, and we discussed the visions and goals with him. And we determined that it would be important to establish two separate focus groups. One that was focused on the design of the space, and one that was focused on the marketing of the space. We set up recurring Microsoft Teams meetings, and we met separately as two different focus groups, as well as meeting as a large group together as we felt it was necessary. You can see in this photo that there's a beautiful mural painted on the wall that was painted in the last 6 months, and the flooring was replaced recently as well. And the people at Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation felt that it was not necessary to change those items, but to come up with a more inviting space for the caregivers to come and enjoy some respite time. We also put together an outline of the design and marketing plans.
And when we talk about the caregivers who will be using this lounge, it's open to caregivers of all different types throughout Brevard. So not only caregivers whose loved ones are using Joe's Club, but anyone who can utilize the space for a break from their caregiving duties.
Here's another before photo. As you can see, it's just really more of a storage area for some furniture. So we reviewed the current state of the space. They did not have a floor plan, so we did measure for floor plan details. We identified the constraints and the strengths. In this photo, you can see the exit sign. That door enters directly into Joe's Club, and that door would need to be secure so that the people that are in Joe's Club cannot come and go, and the caregivers that are using the respite space cannot come and go without being granted access. Also, the door from the main lobby entering into this space is currently coded and locked, and that door would need to be changed to allow for caregivers to come and go without needing staff to let them in. The space is a rectangular space. There is some storage in there, and I believe that Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation would continue to use that storage space. We are suggesting that they keep these tables, but keep them in storage so that they can be used as needed. We also believe that the ambiance needs to be updated some, and we need to update the lighting, which we will show you a little further into the presentation, as well as recommending furniture to purchase. This is the existing floor plan. You can see where north is. You can see the existing window. You can see here, this is the corridor that goes into the space currently, and that door is currently locked, and a staff member would need to lead people in there. So that would need to be changed. And then if you look below down here where it says exit, that's the door I mentioned earlier, that would need to be unlocked. I mean, that would need to be locked, I apologize, so that people cannot come and go as they please. There is a built-in cabinet here that would remain for storage because we will be setting up a coffee station. So supplies can be kept in there. And here is the existing television that we also recommend remains. It is a big space, and we felt it would be important to delineate different areas, which I will show you on the next slide. Here is a suggested layout, an overview. So towards the left, you'll see 2 desks. We would equip those with charging station and rack card station so that the rack cards that we'll talk about later in the presentation could be included over there. Charging so that people are able to charge their cell phones or computers. And Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation has a computer that they could donate. So we would have one computer there that's donated and another desk so that people may sit and bring in their laptops. You'll see over here, we just have 2 comfortable chairs if somebody wanted to just sit and read and relax. Over here by the television, you will see just a comfy couch and 2 more comfortable chairs for people to sit and enjoy TV and relaxation. And located in the middle, we see that is as a group setting area where there can either be group meetings, and the chairs could be moved depending on how many people are in the group. Or, for example, if an HOA or some other outside company wanted to use meeting space, they could use this meeting space after hours as well. So we would have enough chairs that could be moved around for a group setting, and the tables that I mentioned earlier that would be in storage could come out if they were having some sort of meeting that needed to have tables included. Down here, which you can't see very well, is where the coffee station would be set up with a Keurig machine, for people to come in and have some coffee. And we also have a refrigerator that is already in the room that we would include as well. Here are just 2 other views of what the room would look at. So as you can see, there's plenty of space for multifunctional use here. Reading a book, working on your computer, having group meetings, or just vegging out and watching some TV while you're waiting for your loved one. Here are the furniture recommendations. We curated them all from Wayfair, and we have a link that we can provide for easy purchasing of all of these items. Desk chairs, comfy couch. We chose vegan leather for most of them because they could be wiped down and cleaned easily. And just for a little fun, we're also recommending a popcorn machine, which people can use for their meetings as well. We also were looking to soften the lighting, so we're recommending the cover all overhead light fixtures to enhance the space so that it's not so stark with the fluorescent lights. And here's Kayla to talk about the marketing team process.
So for the marketing team, we reviewed the current social media presence of Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation. The picture to the right is a screenshot from their Facebook page. They have just under 3,000 followers, which is a great presence. Brevard is very Facebook heavy when it comes to social media. And so we are targeting using Facebook and Instagram as the social media used to reach our target audience, which is anybody who is caregiving for someone with Alzheimer's or other special needs. Our recommendation is to incorporate the branding from Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation. And with that, we created content to promote the lounge so that when Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation is ready to open the caregiver lounge, that they have some content already created to do so. We'd like to highlight the multifunctional safe space for caregivers, and something we are recommending is a newsletter to caregivers locally, which might highlight certain activities that the caregiver lounge will host. This is some examples of the marketing materials we have created. These are rack cards. The one to the left has the logo we created, caring for your loved ones, caring for yourself, supporting all Brevard caregivers. The space is intended for caregivers to take breaks, seek support, embrace respite, and foster connections. It has the hours 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, which is the same hours as Joe's Club and their Melbourne location. and phone number. The middle rack card could go on the back of the first one. This is information for caregivers, kind of reminders to take breaks, seek support, embrace respite, and foster connection. And on the right is another rack card we created for the Caregivers Lounge, reminding caregivers that taking care of themselves matters and that they need to stop and take breaks. It also highlights the multifunctional safe space for caregivers, similar to the other two. This slide is some of the content that has been created by this CAP project for the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation to use to promote the Caregiver Lounge. So to the right is some posts that can be used for Instagram purposes. We used the branding from the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation logo for the colors that we chose. And then to the left is another recommendation to have a newsletter for Brevard's caregivers to subscribe to so that they can know if there's upcoming groups or opportunities to sponsor snacks and such as that. For this project, the board of directors with the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation has allocated $5,000 for this project that we've been working on. So to allocate those funds, we're recommending $3,000 of it goes towards new furniture. $1,500 goes towards the marketing costs to boost some posts on Facebook to have those wrap cards printed. And then $500 could go towards a ribbon cutting with the local chambers of commerce, which would also bring in the opportunity to seek sponsorship for the lounge in the community.
And that concludes our presentation. If you have any questions or comments, we are here to answer them for you. And we appreciate you listening today. And we hope that this serves the purpose that it is meant to in the community, giving caregivers a place to have respite or to have meeting area, caring for your loved ones, caring for yourself.
Thanks.
Are there any questions from any of our online participants? Well, I'll throw an easy question to you, to your team, Carrie, and members of your team. In what ways do you anticipate your project will continue to benefit the community in the long term beyond the life of the project here?
Well, we feel like it will certainly allow for Joe's Club to, one, give the caregivers some respite while they're there. And there are many times, especially when someone drops off a family member for the first time, that they sit in the parking lot.
Oh.
It kind of like, when you drop your 2-year-old at daycare the first time, I mean, it's similar correlation. So they sit in the parking lot kind of waiting. So this kind of gives them a more comfortable place to sit and feel okay about the transition that's happening in their life. As well, Joe's Club would like to offer an on-site place for them to have group meetings, which they really haven't had. So there are different groups of caregivers that are meeting off-site, and this would give them the opportunity to continue meetings, but have them on-site.
Thank you. Anyone on the team care to add anything else? I think you've done Joe's Club a great service, and because the respite opportunity is available, as I'm reading it, to other caregivers, you've done the community a great service. There are many people who are caring for a loved one, a family member that is in need of specialized care. And this gives those caregivers an opportunity to, as you so eloquently said, team members, to take care of yourselves as well. So Thank you so very much. Great job. Please help me say thank you. And then I will turn it over, and we've got just a quick technical transition. And then MJ Waters, who is a longstanding member of our curriculum committee and a very active community volunteer. I'll invite her to introduce the next CAP team. MJ?
Thank you so much to the Alzheimer's Association. I'm very familiar with their good work that they do, and this is going to be very meaningful. So thank you all. As Kirsten said, I've been involved with Lead Brevard for, oh my gosh, probably 20 years. And now I volunteer with them, and even some of the CAP projects. And it's such a benefit to our community to have these projects. So the next Community Acceleration Project team to present is Family Promise of Brevard. They worked on a community asset mapping, and their mission is to help low-income and homeless families achieve sustainable independence through community-based support and resources. So let's hear from them now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Concannon with Cypress Bank and Trust, and our CAP project was with Family Promise of Brevard for our mapping. And so we're just going to go around and introduce ourselves real quick, and then Jimmy Lane's going to take it away and start the presentation.
Hi, everyone. Andrea Thill with the Health First Foundation, also a member of the 32922 Asset Mapping Project for Family Promise of Brevard.
Good afternoon and evening, everybody. Reema Tabji. I'm the Chief Pharmacist Officer with the Brevard Health Alliance. So this project is near and dear to my heart, just because this is kind of our purpose of what we do, is try to help our communities and give back the best we can. So excited to be part of this project.
Good afternoon, Eric Hendrickson Cruz. I'm the Executive Director of Project Response. It was great to work on this project with these talented individuals as we took a look at the assets that Family Promise of Brevard can take advantage of.
All right, I'm Jimmy Lane. I'm President and CEO of the Cocoa Beach Regional Chamber of Commerce. And I'll tell you, when we started down hearing the presentations back on our first day with Leadership Brevard, I was intrigued by this one. I was excited that I was chosen to help Tara and her team. I know Tara very well. She serves on our board, and they do some really incredible stuff. I will tell you, one of the things that we noticed, and that it was pretty evident to me, is if these projects can't live on past this time, and somebody isn't giving some real strategic effort in enhancing them and continuing with them, they really won't stand the test of time. All are very good, but I think we've got some really great leaders and really great people who can take these over and these projects and make them that much better. We're really just scratching the surface. So when we started the conversation, what we wanted to do was to develop a user-friendly, searchable, web-based map of community assets for the 32922 zip code. There's a lot of help out in our community. I think the number is, and it changes all the time, there's about 2,500 nonprofits in Brevard County alone. That's overwhelming. There is a heck of a lot. And, even as a Chamber of Commerce, we look around and we go, well, what do we do? Where can we go when we have this need or need these resources? And so I thought it was really neat that Tara and the team at Family Promise were working on really sort of a test with the 32922 area. And you might be asking, what is asset mapping? Well, there are, as we said, there are a number of things in our community that can help those in need, whether it's healthcare, whether it is financial or mental health or shelter or education or whatever it may be. There's a lot out there, but where can we create a hub where you can go to one place and you can take a look at all of those, and based on what your needs are, and they may be ever changing, have one place to go to find those. Next slide, Tara or Lindsay. The reason why we picked the 922 area was obviously there is a need. As we looked at the demographic area, we noticed that it is a community that is a majority minority. I think that these numbers they change quite a bit, and I think if we knew the entirety of it, a 17% poverty rate is a number that we should all be worrisome of. And it proved the point that building an asset resource mapping tool and using this as sort of the template that can be duplicated in other parts of the community was probably a really great starting point. Next slide. So we learned a few things during the process, definitely some positives. We talked about it earlier that there are a number of services in our community, probably almost too many to be able to count. There is a high level of community engagement and enthusiasm. That they were, as we call them, the 922 crew. They were already meeting on a consistent basis and engaging with the community, but had not really found the platform or the sort of the vehicle to put it all together. But we did find out there's going to be some challenges. It is everyone is busy. Everyone is pulled in different directions. And if we aren't actively engaging and encouraging our community partners to engage in this resource mapping, the data really becomes obsolete almost immediately. And go to the next slide, please. And we are frozen. So what did we do? What did we do to kind of go down the process? First off, we had to start gathering data. So we looked at some of the criteria. Tara and the team had already done some really great work, sort of establishing a good foundation with the 922 crew. What were the things that people in our community said that they needed over and over again? So we started gathering data. We had to find a tool to house it in. We worked with the asset mapping tool Simpara, which is going to be the hub that really helps eliminate clutter. You can go on Google, you can search for these things, but there's other stuff that is going to come up. The great thing about something like Simpara is it's very focused on when a family or an individual is in need, they can go to one site, they can eliminate the clutter, and it can be the hub for the resources that they may need either then or in the future. We really encourage the team to continue on with in-person meetings. Again, we talked about people being busy. We sent out numerous emails to other nonprofits and other what we would call resources in our community, and people are just busy. They can't always get to them. They can't always pull it together. But something about having an in-person meeting, something about the camaraderie, something about pulling people together, having these discussions right in front of them real time, it makes a big difference and helps to continue building this asset mapping program. And one of the things that we know, and we already mentioned it earlier, was that if we don't continually update it, and there has to be a real effort by the team to continue to do that, that this information will be obsolete almost immediately. We deal with it every day at the chamber, and we have thousands of businesses that we have to constantly update. So real life applications. What our hope is that Family Promise can take this tool, they can leverage it as a standard in the community, they can show some real promise and progress with it, and it can be something that can evolve and expand out into the rest of our community to give those in need the help that they need. Next slide, please. And unfortunately, we were gonna, if you can get on there, I'm not sure we're gonna be able to get onto the link. I was not able to log in. Are you able to get on there, Lindsay?
No, we had some technical difficulties in the login. I'm
Let
sorry
me
about
try it
that.
one more time. We'd like to show it to you just to show it. It's a super easy program that anybody can use, and the staff at Family Promise will use it.
And so while you're looking for that, Jimmy, I'll just chime in. So I think one of the things that we didn't mention first is, we wanted to really make sure that this tool had the correct and accurate, information. You know, crap in, crap out, right? We wanted to make sure that it had the most accurate information so that when people did go onto the site, they could find it. And so we started by creating just kind of a general list of some nonprofits that we knew we wanted their information. And so that's where we started our project. And from there, we created a form to have them fill out. And when we talk about, challenges, right? That's like Jimmy mentioned, everybody's so busy. It was just kind of trying to get everybody to fill out the form, to stop, to call them. And that's why, again, it's just so imperative that the information is continuously updated.
And Tara, with initiating those 32922 crew meetings, as they're called, meeting once a month on Friday mornings, is really helpful in sort of building this core group of assets within that zip code, and really have just seen some organic relationships develop in there with a family who's moving and they need dressers. Well, Endeavor Elementary has a closet full of furniture that they were able to pull from. So just kind of able to see some of these things happen in real life, and just want to congratulate Tara for really working hard to pull that together, and continuing those meetings is really just going to benefit the community with a lot of wraparound services. Any luck, Jimmy?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't get logged in. But we would like to take some questions if there are any. Again, it's an ever evolving living document, if you want to call it that, that will continue to need to be updated and changed. And people change all the time from organizations, but I think it's a great tool. We are only scratching the surface with it. We've got about 15 or 20 resources in there right now, and it's only going to grow from there. Okay, I've grossly over-informed you.
No, I think you all have done a great job, another great service to our community. Are there any questions from anyone on the call, on the meeting? Or any information that any of the other team members might care to chime in with? Jimmy, I do want to say, to your point, Lead Brevard and our Leadership Brevard program has worked now with Family Promise of Brevard for a number of years in a row. And they are in a place where we're really referring to them as a legacy project, because there is ongoing support. Starting out with, it's probably 5 or 6 years ago now that we started to map the 2017, we started to map the cost of homelessness in Brevard. And Family Promise, to their credit, has submitted a proposal every year that's been accepted through our volunteer evaluations, and we are pleased to be continuing to work with them. But this is another step in that iteration, and I look forward to being able to learn more about it and use it in the community. So thank you, team. Another great job. It is my pleasure then to welcome another of our key community volunteers. Mary Drew Bowman has also been on our curriculum committee for a number of years, serves there and in other volunteer capacities. And I will invite her to introduce our next team.
And I just want to say that was incredible with Family Promise. Watching them over the years since I was a student has been amazing to see the growth and what they've accomplished. And I'm so glad that this project worked so well. Our next project is the National Veterans Homeless Support. They've worked since 2008 to help keep homelessness from being a problem for veterans here in Brevard. We had 1,800 veterans that were homeless when they started, and I believe 200 was the last count. So they've made a huge inroads, but they also want to help avoid homelessness and to help ones that are in their homes stay there. And so that was part of this project. And I can't wait to hear what y'all did. So I will turn it over to, I believe it's Josiah.
Yes, ma'am. Paige will be taking us out to start.
Yeah, so good evening, everybody. My name is Paige Hoskins. I am the Director of Family Services at the Early Learning Coalition of Brevard County. And our community action project was focused on the NVHS, the National Veterans Homeless Support. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Okay, so a quick overview of the organization's history. So the NVHS is a nonprofit organization that was founded in 2008 by George Taylor Sr. In response to the veteran homeless crisis in Brevard. So here's a beautiful picture of George and his son and his wife there. So homeless veteran population has decreased from 1,800 in 2008 to less than 200 in 2023. So that's a wonderful 90% reduction. That's great. In 2023, NVHS made significant strides in assisting veterans and their families with a 36% increase in total clients assisted compared to 2022.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Paige. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Hoffman. I'm the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Customer Experience, and I'm going to briefly go over some programs that NVHS is currently conducting to assist with the homeless veterans here in Brevard. Go ahead, next slide, Josiah. So that first program is the Search and Rescue Program, and really this is all about hitting the pavement and just kind of seeking those in need. And when they find those in need, they're essentially trying to provide them support, which obviously includes shelter, nutrition, and different healthcare services. And obviously, when you find those in need for support, it's not short-term support. It's really all about long-term support and how themselves and or their family can find long-term solutions for the issues that they're facing. All right, next slide. They also have the post-traumatic stress awareness, the PTSA initiative. This is focused on really the disabilities that come with combat veterans, obviously PTSD being one of the major mental disabilities from combat. We also have the program promotes awareness for service-related disabilities. It really just breaks down the stigma associated with those mental health challenges, and also it really gives them the veterans an opportunity to be vulnerable and express their struggles in a private environment, a private and safe environment. All right, next slide. And the last one is the transitional housing, obviously one of the more important programs. This offers a drug-free and alcohol-free housing opportunity. This really just provides a stable housing situation for those in need to just kind of do your daily things in life, searching for jobs, building skills, whatever it is in your journey that you're looking to elevate, whether it's yourself or your family. That provides that opportunity. And really, again, it's just emphasizing how housing is so vital. Those of us who do own homes take it for granted. It's really an incredible asset for not only yourself but your family, and it's just something that NVHS does to help support the homeless veterans population here in Brevard.
Thanks, Mike. Evening, everyone. My name is Nathan Epram. One of the ways we were working alongside with NBHS was trying to come up with programs or partner with other community members who had already established certain programs to help veterans who are homeless and who may be facing a looming threat of homelessness, just to educate them into making better financial decisions and teach them the skills and the budgeting processes that they need to go through in order to make sure that they're not missing those monthly mortgage payments to prevent this issue from even happening. One of the things we looked into was certain financial classes to partner with local financial assistants or CPAs to kind of walk them through the process of what they need to do every month to make sure that they're going to make ends meet. We also had reached out to a number of local community banks in Brevard County to see if they are already partnering in some way with veterans, and if not, to get them on board, either providing some sort of fund or grant to be used as a pool of assets for people who may be running pretty close to not making their monthly mortgage payment, that they could dip into this fund to allow them whatever amount of money they need, whether it's an extra $100, $200, just to help assist them to make that monthly mortgage payment. You can go to the next slide. Some of the other programs we were looking into was Crosswalk, which is a community portal through Career Source of Brevard to directly serve the needs of these veterans. Also developing more community relationships with Habitat for Humanities to help rehab certain homes that are in some pretty poor conditions to help those veterans that may qualify, and just continuing to support the education of veterans and other active duty service members and their spouses through certain scholarships with Eastern Florida State College. Next slide.
As we were approaching this project, it became apparent to us that the real challenge here was bridging to the future. I'm Josiah Gallo. I'm the owner of the UPS stores in Rockledge and Suntree, and I focused on building a strategic plan with the other members of the team for NBHS, or the bones of it, so that we can move from the state where we are to where we need to be. When you're changing from the addressing problems and running around and addressing the problems as they arise, we're in a reactive state. And now they're trying to move to a preventative space, like what Nathan and Melissa worked on very heavily with getting those loan programs and those bridge programs through Crosswalk. We really want to do this by more effective communication to our community, and that's through heartfelt storytelling. One of the challenges that we came up across during this is that we have very few marketing pictures and stuff that were going on of what they're doing. They're doing a lot of great things to help the community, from giving donations to Eastern Florida State College for student loans, to helping people get into bridge housing, to providing food. But we had very few images that helped that heartfelt storytelling. We also found that as they're running around, the concrete numbers were a little bit lacking there. And so we addressed that through a little bit later, creating a process or proposing processes that they can use to record what they're doing. So it's not just they're doing great things, but they're able to tell people about it and increase that last point, which is community connection. Really what we felt like is there needed to be a funnel for veterans, so that when a veteran comes in to NVHS, they can get them to where they can get their best help, whether that's with NVHS or with another partner program. If they need a job or have a financial challenge, that problem may be solved by Crosswalk porting them over to a different service, or they can provide that bridge funding, or they can provide food, or they can provide educational connections. But it's really becoming that funnel to take veterans where they need to be and identify what the strike zone of NVHS is as a organization. The last portion that we thought this would help with was really better fundraising, because once you start doing that and you start tracking that process, you're able to tell people what you're doing. And when you're down from 2,000 homeless veterans to 200, that becomes a much more important communication point, where you're trying to communicate kind of the extra services that you're providing, not just we got someone off the street, we got someone into a better job so they aren't facing homelessness. We're getting someone into a better work position so they're not facing homelessness. And we're in that prevention space, which became really important for the fundraising and communicating to the community the continued need and the continued impact. Thank you very much.
Hello, so I'm Melissa Byers, and I am a business liaison and apprenticeship navigator for Career Source Brevard. And for this project, really, to sum it up, it's really like the mission and more. So they really have a great mission, and the mission here is to really help with the veteran population with the homelessness and looking at their measurables and to maintain it and help keep the preventative. We really took a look at that outreach, like going to those banks and knowing that there's community reinvestments with them. Are they really reinvesting back into the community? And if so, could they reinvest into this population to help serve? Really looking at financial advisors, and even from a preventative measure, we were looking at transitional military. So before they get out with TAPS, which is the transitional program, as we do have a very heavy population of military with our base here locally. And then, of course, continuously building the relationships with the community partners as they really work hand in hand with a lot of people locally, but even building it with our chambers and everyone else across the board to utilize that aspect for marketing and for things that they're doing as they do put on a lot of fundraisers, but to get the word out and to spread it and to show it. Next slide. So with that, it's really important to know that it does take a community to make this mission successful. And knowing that we do live here in a county that has over 60,000 veterans within our area, it's 50% higher than the average community of our size, of our nature. So with that, just knowing that our partners are the programs that we're going to put in place and new things that they can get going, I believe that they're going to be able to meet these measurables and keep it down and reduce it even more within the homelessness for the veteran population, as well as connecting those veterans to appropriate services, utilizing a lot of these community partners and programs, much like the crosswalk that they had mentioned through Career Source Brevard. So continuing on that path, they'll be able to keep this up and hopefully keep reduction down and then get these individuals the services and help that they need. Next slide. And then if there's any questions, please feel free to ask.
Gosh, thank you, team. I was not aware that we have such a higher ratio of veterans in our community than, I guess, if I'm understanding you correctly, as compared to other communities our size.
Correct. So a lot of people come here and retire out of the military here due to wanting to live in Florida and just our area and our base. And then, of course, the ability to live here is a little bit nicer as a means and stuff to what they get. So you have to look like no state taxes. So they look at it all, the variables, but the ratio to live here for what they earn.
Well, again, another huge community impact for our service members and their families. You know, I know we're grateful, and I'm sure you all are as well, in terms of the service that they offer to our community, and whether they're active duty or when they retire. And so glad that your team has been able to make this kind of progress to support that group. So again, thank you. Job well done. And it is my pleasure to recognize Vinnie Toronto, a member of the Lead Brevard Board of Directors, as well as a longtime Leadership Brevard Curriculum Committee member. And Vinnie, I will invite you to introduce the fourth presenting CAP team.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Melissa, Michael, Nathan, Paige, Josiah, and National Veterans Homeless Support for your work helping protect those who protect us. So much as you all presented starts with stable housing. So thank you all for your work in that endeavor. The next Community Acceleration Project presentation is for Space Coast Habitat for Humanity. Space Coast Habitat for Humanity's mission is to put God's love into action. Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. The CAP team's project is titled Building a Volunteer Powerhouse. I'd like to now invite John from the team to tell us about that powerhouse. John?
Thank you, everybody. And Susan.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again on behalf of our whole team for being here and checking out our presentation today. Our full team couldn't be here in person due to prior commitments, and we definitely miss you tonight, Patricia. But we've grown so close over the last couple months. We wanted everyone to be included. So we prepared a video that includes all of us along with our project description and the solution that we provided to Habitat. So this video that you're about to see will just touch on how our project went and also serve as a training tool for Space Coast Habitat for Humanity. And what's really cool about it is this strategy could be duplicated for other nonprofits in Brevard. Additionally, we did put together a comprehensive training document and presentation for Habitat, which they'll be able to use to train their staff and to also review. We wanted to give them something tangible. I did also want to shout out that John, who's not in the video, he is behind the scenes and he was kind of responsible for wrangling us, as I heard. But please enjoy our presentation. And after the video, our whole team will be right back asking you to complete a survey that's actually part of our CAP presentation project to Habitat. And we'll also have a quick Q&A session. So take it away, John.
All right. Yeah, you said it. Let's go full screen, guys. All right, just a reminder, turn your volumes up and enjoy.
Hi, everyone. So it has been an exciting last couple months.
Yes, it has. And it is so good to see you all. You guys look great. I'm glad we have the time to sit down and have a discussion about this much needed volunteer program with Space Coast Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Our Lead Brevard's CAP team was entrusted with revitalizing the Space Coast Habitat for Humanity's volunteer program strategy. Habitat was founded by a husband and wife in 1936 and still remains pivotal in the revitalization of communities and families. The organization gives families the opportunity to thrive in affordable, safe, and decent homes. Here in Brevard County, they've been doing that since 1985 and are still growing strong. So this leads us into our connection with this amazing organization and our CAP project. We were given the opportunity to work with Habitat and their team in the exploration of volunteer engagement. Previously a thriving program with many participants, unfortunately the volunteer program suffered setbacks due to COVID-19. Participation dwindled and restrictions prevented volunteers from assisting on construction sites, which severely limited opportunities.
That's very good information, Susan. The goal of our project was to research strategic ways to attract and retain volunteers. We met with Habitat's team over several months to learn of areas of opportunity that we can help them with their goals. Our panel of leaders is excited to present our comprehensive research and analysis of the volunteer program. Today, we will share our recommendations aimed at attracting and retaining volunteers. These initiatives are designed to propel the program into a new era of success and community impact, which you guys already know. So we'll go to Terrence. What are some opportunities in attracting volunteers?
That's a great question, Felicia. One is to diversify outreach channels by expanding the outreach beyond traditional methods and exploring new channels like social media, online platforms, and collaborations with youth organizations, that this provides a broader reach to potential volunteers. Another is personalized engagement, tailoring messages and engagement strategies to resonate with the interests and aspirations of the target demographic. This creates a more personalized connection by making volunteers feel valued and understood. Also, we want to touch on community engagement. By participating in local community events and engaging with the target demographic in places that they frequent, this builds a presence and awareness about volunteer opportunities.
Great information, Taryn. So Patricia, can you fill us in on retaining volunteers?
Thanks, Susan. Many volunteer programs focus a lot of their time on attracting and recruiting volunteers, and not so much on retaining them. Ensuring volunteers stick around is vital for effective volunteer management. However, volunteer programs avoid establishing retention plans simply because they are not sure where to begin or what an effective retention looks like. The good news is that volunteer retention isn't complex. With dedication, preparation, and the assistance of a time-efficient volunteer management tool, enhancing volunteer retention and program efficiency is within reach. Research conducted by AmeriCorps tells us that high volunteer turnover can disrupt an organization's operational efficiency and even threaten its ability to serve their customers effectively. Recruiting and training new volunteers requires a commitment of resources. That's why retaining volunteers you've already recruited can be more efficient than finding new volunteers. There are several opportunities options, but the top 5 most effective options in our view are 1. Mentorship program, 2. Recognition and appreciation, 3. Flexibility, 4. Feedback, and 5. Evaluation. Establishing a mentorship program creates a support system for new volunteers, fostering a sense of belonging and ensuring a smoother transition into the role. Recognition and appreciation. Implementing a robust recognition and appreciation system, including awards and certificates, acknowledges volunteers' efforts and motivates them to continue contributing. Providing a flexible schedule and remote volunteering options recognizes the busy lifestyle of younger volunteers, making it easier for them to balance their commitments. Creating a feedback mechanism ensures that volunteers have a platform to express their experiences and concerns, enabling the organization to address issues promptly and enhance the volunteer experience. Measurement and evaluation. Regularly tracking key performance indicators such as volunteer satisfaction, retention rate, and impact assessment provides data-driven insights for ongoing optimization for the recruitment and retention strategies.
Wow, that was a wealth of information. Thank you, Patricia. Keith, how did we arrive here?
Great question, Felicia. So one of the things that we wanted to do is understand the needs and goals of Habitat for Humanity, especially for the specific group here in the Space Coast. So we spent a lot of time making sure that our approach was going to align with the organization's strategy. We even took time to go down and do a tour and really get a feel for the facility, for the team, and even what the volunteers go through on a day-to-day basis and how they interact with the organization.
Perfect. That was really good information. Would you be able to tell us a little more in depth about the process itself?
Absolutely. So the first step was identifying the challenges, right? What are those pain points? What are we really trying to solve for here? And then the second was identifying the demographic that we were trying to reach. Who are their current volunteers? Who are the potential future volunteers for the organization? From there, we did a lot of research to understand the impacts of everything on volunteerism, both here in Brevard and abroad, but then we really focused it down to how do Brevard nonprofit organizations get impacted. And then we developed a list of potential solutions. Overall, this was a great process, and it's one that we definitely recommend that other nonprofit organizations in Brevard could use or leverage in their attempts to increase volunteerism, attracting and retaining future volunteers.
Wow, Keith, thank you so much for all that information. Space Coast Habitat for Humanity has a lot they can work with. For the past 8 months, we have been working together as a team, and shout out to you, John, behind the camera. And we couldn't be more proud of the outcomes that we've worked on.
Wow, 8 months? Did it feel like 8 months to you guys? Wow. Well, I want to express to you guys that it's been a pleasure to work with each and every one of you. I know that our paths will cross professionally. Brevard is small but long, and I'm excited to work with you guys in the future. And don't forget,
Lead Brevard, class of 2024. Best class ever.
All right. So got everybody?
Are you all open to questions for your
Yeah.
team, or is there more post video? I don't want to interrupt.
I wanted to make sure I couldn't hear anything, so I want to make sure everybody was still here. We do have a quick scan. We wanted you guys to scan quick QR code to take the survey. If you guys have a second. Actually, I'll just do desktop. Stand by. All right, can you guys see the QR code?
We can.
So if anybody would mind scanning that, I'll take it to a nice little survey that we put together. We'd like to share this with the Space Coast Habitat for Humanity team, just to give some insight on the volunteer strategy that we put together for them as well. And yeah, and that's it. Anyone else from my group have anything?
I think we're ready for questions if anybody has questions.
So Kristen, we're going to open this up for Q&A at this point.
Great, thank you. I wonder if someone on your team, John, great job again. Thank you for creating the video. And I see there's a picture of you behind the scenes.
I was there, I promise.
Yeah, you were there. I see it. Can somebody on your team say a little bit more about how other nonprofits might utilize the model that you created to their benefit?
Sure.
Yeah, go
I-
ahead.
So we did a lot of research behind the scenes about the demographics in Brevard specifically. So I think after COVID, and even prior to COVID or before COVID, a lot of nonprofits were experiencing issues with retaining volunteers, attracting and retaining, sustaining volunteers. So I think it's something that could be duplicated in Brevard because a lot of us face the same exact challenges with volunteers. And again, I think because we really took the time to do some research about demographics, we used a number of different national surveys and local information and demographics also. So again, if we kind of take Habitat's name out of it, we did a lot specific to it. You can kind of utilize the same methods.
Thank you. I think that's great. And back to a previous comment in one of the earlier presentations about the number of nonprofits that are in Brevard. It's, depending on who you talk to, it's somewhere between 1,500 and 2,500. So all of them, or most of them, would have a need for volunteers. So if you've been able and have successfully created a model or a template that can be used to help those volunteers, those nonprofits retain and celebrate volunteers, I think that's going to be a huge community asset ongoing for the community as well. So thank you all for that.
Thank you.
All right, I took down the QR code. Hopefully that gave everyone enough time to scan it.
All right. Thank you very much. And if you need to, we can probably send that out to our audience later, John, and make that perhaps more widely available for your data gathering.
Definitely. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep, super. Why don't you send it to us, or we have it in the presentation. Thank you. I'm going to turn it back to Vinny, who, as again, a Lead Brevard board member and being very engaged in our community and with our curriculum committee, just to talk a little bit about our flagship program and the community acceleration projects writ large. So, Vinny?
All right, yeah. Thank you, Terrence, John, Patricia, Keith, Susan, and Felicia, and the Space Coast Habitat for Humanity for that project building a volunteer powerhouse. As Kristen said, I am a graduate of the best class ever 2014. I know you guys said 2024 was the best class ever. We'll see, but I was also a volunteer the year after, starting with the curriculum committee, and I've been a volunteer with the curriculum committee for 9 years. So it is very important, as you guys presented, to be able to find and retain those volunteers. I think it's because Kristen, she uses this philosophy of and I'm learning that one, and that's kept me around. I think that has retained me there. But as Kristen said, my name is Vinny Toronto. I am a board member for Lead Brevard, and our flagship program, which you all have just finished going through, or just about to finish going through, Leadership Brevard, is in its 38th year. 38 years. And a little known fact, I was actually in Youth Leadership Brevard back in 1994. That's a program that we used to have. But there are 3 program goals of Leadership Brevard. They're community education, to gain a greater understanding of Brevard County. They're to build relationships, long-term bonds with Leadership Brevard class members, and also to utilize the network, connect and engage the Leadership Brevard class with 38 years of alumni network members and other community leaders. I mean, the network is just huge. It's that 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Well, the degrees of the Leadership Brevard network are a lot shorter. All Leadership Brevard class members engage in a community project, offering an experiential leadership learning opportunity. Over 192 of those projects, community acceleration projects, have been successfully completed, benefiting the nonprofit community, Leadership Brevard participants, and the greater community as a whole. Recent years have seen the class contribute over 2,600 volunteer hours, with an in-kind impact exceeding $66,000 annually. Over those 38 years, that totals to over $2 million of community economic impact. Lead Brevard is currently collecting a list of interested local nonprofit organizations and municipalities that want our members to help them with projects for the class of 2025. We're starting with a jot form link that will be in the Zoom chat or in the comments. Or if you're interested, you can contact Candace at our office. Her email address is Candice, that's CANDICE, at leadbrevard.org. So again, those are any local nonprofit organizations or municipalities that are interested. What type of projects qualify, you ask? Well, that's a good question. I'll tell you. The projects may be a community service activity or the development of a proposal addressing a community issue. The guidelines are that the project must align with Lead Brevard's mission of community leadership. It must define clear outcomes and required resources with evaluation plans. It must have a defined end or transition plan. It must impact a significant number of people or address a critical need. It must be nonpartisan and non-fundraising. And finally, include opportunities for those experiential leadership development. All right. Well, now we're going to move on to the final Community Acceleration Project presentation of the evening, which is for the Zonta Club of Melbourne. The Zonta Club of Melbourne's mission is to promote justice and universal respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. The CAP team's project is titled Educating Our Community on the Zonta Club of Melbourne. I'd now like to invite Matt from the team to share the presentation. Matt, take it away.
Thanks, Vinny. We're going to do something earth-shattering this evening. We're going to do a live presentation. Something never been done before. All right. So hi, my name is Matt Passarella. I'm the business development manager for Wharton Smith. We're here to talk to you today about our Leadership Brevard CAP program with Zonta Club of Melbourne. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce our team to you real quickly. Tara Murphy is unfortunately a little under the weather, so she's not with us this evening. Julia Reyes, Michelle Tatum-Bush, Brandon Curry, Alex Ash, and Tiffany Majors. So first, a little bit of information about the Zonta Club of Melbourne. Zonta Club of Melbourne is a service organization of talented women and men with diverse skills working together to empower women and girls through hands-on assistance, advocacy, and funding locally, regionally, and around the world through Zonta International. A lot of the main things that Zonta Club of Melbourne does is awareness, activism, and awards. Their awareness towards domestic violence and abuse and child marriage, activism with their Zonta Says No campaign, their human trafficking training towards hotel organizations and staff, towards law enforcement officers, and with HR departments and other organizations. And lastly, their awards. They recently gave out scholarship for their Yellow Rose with the We Venture Women Who Rock event. They sponsor scholarships through the EDC and multiple other organizations throughout the community. Next, we're talk briefly about what we were challenged with to do our problem with to help Zonta Club of Melbourne with. Mainly, it was bringing awareness and creating an understanding on what the Zonta Club of Melbourne provides to our community. The many different ways that they try to tackle these issues through awareness, through activism. One of the things they have is they have a date rape drug test coaster, or a coaster that could be at a bar. You take a drop of your drink, you put it on there, and it tells you if you have date rape drugs in your drink. They have domestic violence and awareness and education programs, the human trafficking course that I mentioned earlier, high school and middle school clubs to educate youth on the dangers of human trafficking, on domestic violence and awareness and how to recognize the signs. And lastly, just overall organizational awareness and marketing towards their organization to try to increase their membership and try to get the word out there. With many of these different initiatives and many of these things that they were looking for help with, we had to understand what the common threads were and how we can maximize impact for their organization in the short period of time that we had to work with them. And to talk more about that, Tiffany will provide information on where we went from there.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany Majors. I'm the Housing Program Director at HFH Supportive Housing, and I'm here to talk about, we had the original scope of work from Zonta. It was very ambitious and multifaceted, given the mission Matt just walked us through. One thing that we all agreed on, though, was that we had a deep desire to help drive impact with our specific talents. So the first thing that we did was we used a design thinking approach. We concentrated our first session on this approach to help us prioritize and reach objectives for our engagement. Basically, it was a problem-solving approach that involves empathizing with others, defining problems, reviewing past successes and challenges, ideating innovative solutions, all aimed at addressing the issues with user-centric solutions. We prioritized by using a mural board And we decided to break our effort into two focus priorities, and we each naturally gravitated towards one. That was kind of pretty cool how we all just were like, yes, I'm going to do this one, and others did, went to the other. My teammates are going to talk about more on these priorities. So the top two that we did was educate employers on domestic violence and the date rate coaster distribution channels. We had to keep in mind that Zonta is 100% volunteer driven. So it was important that we provided sustainable ways to work and a path forward. Our hope is that the method to prioritization will also support their overall approach to strategically leading a volunteer organization into the future. Now we're going to have Julia speak on the next slide.
This one?
Yep.
All right. So good afternoon, everybody. Julia Reyes from Parrish Medical Center, Executive Director for the Human Resources. Yes, as the team mentioned, we wanted to create some big impacts, making small changes, right? With the limited resources, I know we had a good participation with Zonta leadership. We were able to evaluate so many of these opportunities to call in action. We wanted to create impact, but at the same time, we wanted to deliver that awareness related to the domestic violence. So some of the things that the rest of the team is going to continue to elaborate is that partnership with some of the local employers, sharing some of those policies and trying to give them more information about that topic. We were able to develop some workplace toolkits for employers, outreach and education, as well as social media awareness. And for those next great topics, we have the rest of the team coming up, and Michelle has the next slide.
Thanks, Julia. Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Tatum-Bush. I am an attorney with Ford & Harrison, which is a national labor employment law firm. So naturally, I gravitated to trying to help Zonta reach the HR community here that's in Brevard. One of Zonta's main goals was to increase awareness among the local community businesses as to, one, that it exists, and also, two, how it could help these employers help their employees who might be experiencing domestic violence. So with that, we partnered with two of the local HR chapters, Space Coast HR Association and South Brevard SHRM. And those organizations are made up primarily of human resource individuals. So it will be multiple companies in one meeting every month. And so we thought it would be good for Zonta to be able to go to one location to meet a lot of people at one time and educate them on who they are and how they can help. So we've paired them up with SHRA first, and SHRA does what's called a nonprofit spotlight at each one of its monthly meetings. And that spotlight allows the nonprofit that's chosen to come to the meeting and have about 5 minutes to talk about who they are and what they do in the local community and educate everyone about their organization. So Zonta has been chosen to be the May meetings spotlight for that. And so we're looking forward to that. And to go with that is Brandon. He's going to talk about how we helped Zonta try to capitalize on that opportunity and make their presentation even better.
Thank you. I'm Brandon Curry. Get here. There we go. I'm Brandon Curry. I'm the manager of training development at Brevard Health Alliance. So as Michelle said, I was tasked with the presentation portion of this project. So if you look at these slides here, look at the pictures. I have two of the old slides from the initial PowerPoint that was given to me, and then examples of the new slides, how I updated them on the right. So upon looking at the old slides, I noticed a few things that I wanted to do, and I put those in the bullet points there. So I wanted to revamp all the slides and get a little bit of rearrangement. Rearranging the slides, I wanted to create a more fluid story through this presentation. And then with a general revamp, I just wanted to make it more visual appealing. So I introduced branding as well as color to the presentation. I did this for a few reasons. One, I wanted Zonta Club of Melbourne to have more ownership into these slides. As you can see, these were provided by Serene Harbor, and all the branding was for Serene Harbor. So I wanted us to have a little bit more ownership into this presentation that we have. More visibility into our organization throughout the community, as well as placing us as an authority figure on this topic. And I think putting our name on that is helping us get there. A few more things I want to do was to retain some of the old elements from the original slides. I wanted to keep it familiar to whoever's going to be presenting. So let me show you an example here. If you look at the injunction slide, I try to keep that same linear aspect of that, of mapping them through that process. And as well, throughout the rest of the presentation, I kept a lot of the same subjects covered. As well, to the last point here is adding new elements. One thing I added was an agenda and learning objective slides to keep everything a little more concise and on track for the audience. I added some more details and explanations. For example, what is an injunction? I didn't know what it was going into this presentation, so that's what prompted me to start researching some of these things. And you know, if our audience doesn't know that like I did, they might be lost. So adding some more details and explanations in there. And so that was my part of the project. And now we'll talk about our other big priorities. Here's Alex.
All right, here we are, finally the last presenter. Well, one thing that I was focused on in this project was helping get Zonta Club more connected into their social media efforts. So they do a really good job of putting on events and helping distribute information that is powerful, like the news and the message that Zonta is bringing through raising awareness with domestic violence is so important. And one way that they definitely needed to focus on that and change their efforts is through that social media package. But oh, sorry, I forgot to change it over. They already have a Facebook page, and as you can see, this is a picture of from my slide here is their Instagram page. But they aren't using and leveraging that correctly. So what we did is we helped get them in touch with a social media specialist who works specifically with nonprofits. And she helped us build out a couple of packages and plans for them. And yes, they cost money. And I know that that's always a difficult process, but in those packages, it gave them a plan to follow. So if they wanted to go out and do it on their own, they were able to build their own social media campaigns and promote, because they really do have good content that they already have on their page as is. They just they needed to add a regular consistency to those posts and build awareness around that through that consistent posting. Lastly, one of the most important things that we worked on was the coaster distribution, and we did spend a lot of time focusing, or parts of the group spent a lot of time focusing on getting connected with the local community and colleges and whatnot. But one thing that they could also focus on that we shared with them was the use of spreading the awareness of using such tools like the coaster or similar products, and having them available through social media, through links, and being able to obtain them that way. On that note, we can wrap this up. I'll hand this over to the next and last slide.
All right. So we're going to be wrapping up. We just want, everyone to know that we really enjoyed working with Zonta. We focused really on changing the thinking to end violence against women and men. So if anybody has any questions, now would be the time.
I do see a question from Mary Drew Bowman in the chat room, but what were some of the challenges that you faced in the coaster distribution?
So I know some of the very first challenges were I actually spoke to quite a few bar owners, and they were hesitant about having them displayed in their bar for liability reasons. So we had to figure out a way to work around that. That was probably one of our biggest issues, was trying to get the coasters into the community while respecting the business owners. Yeah. Anybody else have anything to add?
I think that's where we led to a lot of the direct distribution for them, was rather than relying on putting them in places where they could be used, it was putting them in the hands of people who could use them. or social media campaign starters, and we started focusing on creating, helping them create some social media awareness.
All right, any other questions or comments from the team? That was a great live action, kind of like news at 6 or whatever, right?
Just yeah. No.
All right. Did they pick us up?
Nope. Still here.
All right, well, we'll get everyone a round of applause here. Thank you. Thank you. Great job, everyone. I hope that you all are as excited as I know Candace and me are, and our board members and volunteers on the call. Just to know that all of this great work that you have all contributed to the community over the last 8 months or so, it's just phenomenal. I know that it's a challenge, particularly from a scheduling perspective sometimes, to get such busy people as yourselves together to make these projects go forward. But on behalf of Lead Brevard, our board of directors, I see a couple of us here, Vinny, Christine Nolron. I don't know if MJ is still here, Mary's still here. Just so much support for these projects and the work that you've done and the contributions that you're making to our community and to our nonprofit sector is phenomenal. Thank you. Thank you very much. We will be recruiting for the next best class soon. So I'll invite you to stay tuned for that. If you are aware of people in your company or friends or colleagues who may be interested in participating in Leadership Brevard, be on lookout for that, as well as the requests for proposals that will go out late this spring, early this summer, for projects that the class of 2025 will undertake next year, as well as some of these legacy projects that are going to be transitioned over to the organizations. All right, I see Monica's here as well. Monica McClooney is another one of our Lead Brevard board members. I'm not able to see all the squares. So thank you, Monica, for raising your hand. Any questions? Candace, do you want to chime in and say thank you? And then we will be wrapped up just a few minutes ahead of schedule.
I absolutely do. I want to thank each and every one of you. You put in so much work and so many hours, 511 over a 6-month period for 30 people is fantastic. And so I just, again, want to thank you all for all the hard work that you did. And I know these projects are really going to help our community, and I couldn't be more proud. Thank you.
Thanks, Candace, and thanks for all the contributions that you make to the success of the program and these projects. Kaori Fisher is also on the call with us this evening, another board member. Kaori's with Edward Jones and has served this year as the curriculum committee chair and co-chair as we've developed the projects. And thank you for all of that work, Kaori.
Kristen?
Yes.
Could I say a word?
Of course you may.
I want to emphasize what Benny said. Join a committee. I've been on CAPs that I loved and ones that I wasn't very happy with. And it helped me help others with their CAPs. And it's just amazing to be involved in something that continues on and on and on. But the curriculum committee is the one to be on. That's the hot one with all the best volunteers. So that's the one I recommend. But get a committee, stay involved. You just can't imagine how it will influence your work and your personal life, and you get to hang out with the best people.
Well, it is a hashtag use the network kind of group. Vinny mentioned the Kevin Bacon Kevin Bacon and the 6 degrees of separation. Our challenge internally, and I know I've shared this with you all, is for us to be able to make connections in 3 jumps. So you have a need, you contact us or another member of the Leadership Brevard Network. They contact, put you in touch with whomever, and you should, within 3 steps of outreach, be connected to the individual and the resources that you need. And if you haven't used that network yet, I encourage you to do so. Again, I think that wraps up our community evening of impact with the fall cohort of the Leadership Brevard class of 2024. I want to again say thank you to all of our board of directors members, to our curriculum committee volunteers, and to all of you as members of the class of 24 who have put in the time and the energy and the resources to be able to conduct this evening of success. So thank you all for your contributions. We look forward to seeing you soon and at graduation. So thank you.